Hello gardening friends, welcome to the Calyx Services Garden. I am Thelma and I'm next to a really elegant, classy looking orchid. Do you recognize it? It also has a very pleasant fragrance. Now this is Coelogyne. I think this variety is Coelogyne esperata. It's relatively new to the Calyx garden, so of course as soon as the plants were large enough, I decided to propagate so I can get more plants of this lovely Coelogyne. So keep watching and I will show you how we propagated this orchid and the results we obtained after 11 months. Thanks for staying. 2 years ago we had 3 Coelogyne plants in pots looking rather unthrifty, and that's when I decided that I'm going to propagate from 2 of them. In this video what I'm going to show you is the propagation activities and the results we obtained within 11 months. But before I do that, let me give you a little background information on Coelogyne. So here's a typical mature Coelogyne plant, and you see these rather large bulbous structures. These are referred to as the pseudobulbs, and they bear the leaves. Shoots also come off of the pseudobulbs. You see that there. This is a young shoot. We're looking forward to its blooming shortly. Now both the pseudobulbs and the shoots are connected by an underground stem. So the plant really consists of an underground stem or rhizome, and the pseudobulbs supporting the leaves as well as the shoots above ground. In terms of the growing conditions, Coelogynes like a nice humid area, humidity between 75 and 80%. They also grow very well with indirect sunlight, something like you see under these trees. They will tolerate a fair bit of moisture stress because they store water in their pseudobulbs. While Coelogynes are fairly drought tolerant, don't let them dry out too much in between watering because that may cause the pseudobulb to shrivel and the tips of the leaves to get dry. Coelogynes tend to bloom in the cooler, drier months, starting anywhere from February all the way to May or June. Now, it is now March, and now is when mine are blooming. So I'll now take you to the propagation activities, and I'll move back in time about 11 months where you will see me struggling to take a Coelogyne out of its pot. Okay, let's see what's in the pot. There are 3 of these plants, and I'm going to take them all out of the pot to see how many new plants we can get. Hey, I probably need help to do this. Don loosened it for me, so now I can slide it out quite easily. Wow, look at all these roots. It's definitely root bound, and boy is it in need of repotting. But it's a perfect time to get more plants. The easiest way to propagate Coelogyne is by dividing up a large clump such as this and potting each clump in individual pots. First, I removed the old media so I could get to the roots and rhizome more easily. I dipped the clump in water, which removed the remaining media. It was a large enough clump so that I could split it into 2 and get 2 fairly good-sized segments. But this required some pressure to tease the roots apart. So I had to resort to using the secateur, and I carefully snipped both the roots and the rhizomes. And here are 2 very nice looking segments. Now, although the old pseudobulbs have long lost their leaves, I'm going to leave a few of them in place as they contain water and nutrients to feed the new roots. And the final step in this separation activity, I'm using a mixture of equal parts of 3% hydrogen peroxide and water to sanitize the roots, and this is to minimize the chance of pest and disease infection. I'll divide another clump so that I can get enough planting materials to plant 3 new pots. Let me demonstrate how to plant the first of the 3 pots. And as usual, in the calyx garden, we try to be innovative. And this is our orchid pot, which is a regular pot in which we have drilled fairly large holes on all sides. There are sufficient holes for airflow, especially since we plan to hang our coelogynes in the trees where we can admire them easily. For the potting mix, we're using a homemade soilless mixture consisting of equal parts of peanut shells, coarse river sand, and compost. Because I'll be hanging these pots, I don't want them to be too heavy, so I've omitted the gravel. The peanut shells and the sand are in one container and the compost in the other. I layered the various components in the bottom half of the pot and placed the new clump in the center of the pot, leaving enough room for the new shoots to emerge from the pseudobulb. Next, I topped up with more of the mixture, and before anchoring the plants, I applied 1 tablespoon of Orchid Growth slow-release fertilizer, stirred it in, and then applied the coconut segments so that the plants don't shift in the wind. The last step was to water, and then, of course, to hang it from these trees. Don't they look wonderful already? Coelogyne is known to be slow to regrow and flower after being divided, so you have to be patient. Here they are, about 10.5 months after they were divided, and they've sent out new leaves and are quite healthy. And if you look closely, you'll see 2 plants that have already sent out flowering shoots. And unlike other orchids, Coelogyne's spikes develop very quickly. It went from this stage all the way through to this stage in 10 days. This is a close-up of the plant that is blooming. It's now a rather mature plant. When we propagated it, these are the 2 pseudobulbs that I had left. And all of these are new pseudobulbs that developed since we propagated. This pot has a real profusion of pseudobulbs, and it has already extended itself throughout most of the growing media. This other pot, though, has fewer pseudobulbs. It's coming up with a lot of nice young shoots at this point in time. There are 4 coming up at one point. So in a few months, it's going to have as many pseudobulbs as its partner. It's a little behind. You could see that the blooming started a few days after the first one that I just looked at. But all in all, I like what I'm seeing. And the third one, sorry, I should really have pointed that out. The third one is still hanging in the tree because it has not put out any blooming shoots as yet. The pseudobulbs are all healthy, and I think it's just a matter of time. In this first video on Coelogyne, we introduced you to some of its general growing requirements, and we also demonstrated how easy they are to be propagated from divisions. But it takes about a year or so for them to recover fully, for them to be mature enough to start to bloom. Now, treat your Coelogynes as you would any other orchid, in that you give them a porous mix that it has components of inert materials such as pebbles or coarse river sand, as well as organic matter such as compost, vermiculite, or cocoa peat. Now, you have to attend to the nutrition of the Coelogyne during the active growing period, and as you saw, I provide them with slow-release fertilizer, and I would repeat that treatment every 2 months or so, depending on what they look like. Place them in an area that gets bright but indirect sunlight, and make sure that they don't dry out too much in between watering. They also like relatively high humidity, and if you provide all those conditions, you're likely to find that your Coelogynes will grow well and be relatively low maintenance. That's been our experience here in the calyx garden. Now, we've come to the end of this video. We trust that you found the information interesting and useful, and if you did, please give us a like, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed already, I'm asking you whenever you can to please subscribe, and don't forget to press the notification button, because that way you'll know when we upload our videos, and we try to do that consistently on a weekly basis. So until the next video, I am Thelma in the Calyx Garden saying thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.